We all know someone who remembers every birthday and constantly makes everyone laugh. But psychology reveals a heartbreaking truth. That relentless cheerfulness is often a highly practiced mask for silent depression. Picture the person who shines at dinner but later lies awake totally exhausted, terrified someone will discover how empty they truly feel. Mistaking their competence for wellness means you might miss the exact moment they completely shatter. Today we will decode these hidden signs and find a real way out. What city or state in the US are you in right now? Because no matter how lonely or overwhelming life gets out there, you never have to carry this alone. There is someone in your life who always seems to know how to make the room feel lighter. They remember birthdays. They answer messages with warmth. They show up when other people are falling apart. They are the one everyone calls when life becomes confusing, because they seem steady, capable, and strangely good at carrying pain without letting anyone see its weight. They may be successful, funny, generous, social. They may post smiling photographs, make plans for the future, and tell you that everything is fine. And that is exactly why no one notices. Depression does not always look like a dark bedroom or tears that cannot be hidden. Sometimes it wears clean clothes, meets deadlines, tells jokes, and asks how everyone else is doing. Sometimes the person who appears happiest is trying desperately to keep others from seeing how far away from happiness they feel. This is often described as smiling depression, though it is not a formal diagnosis by itself. It refers to appearing functional or cheerful while privately living with symptoms of depression. The smile is not always a lie. It can be a shield, a habit, or a performance learned so well that even the person wearing it may not know how to remove it. These 8 signs do not prove that someone is depressed. Any single behavior can have many explanations. But when several patterns appear together, persist over time, and begin to change the person you once knew, they may be saying what words have not yet been able to express. The first sign is intense sensitivity, hidden behind a calm exterior. Imagine a friend who usually laughs at everything. One evening, someone makes a harmless joke about them being late, distracted, or overly serious. The room moves on immediately, but your friend does not. Their face changes. They become quiet, defensive, or unexpectedly tearful. Later, they apologize and say they do not know why they reacted that way. The joke may never have been the real cause. When someone has been suppressing grief, fear, shame, and exhaustion for a long time, their emotional system becomes like a glass filled to the edge. The final drop looks small to everyone else, but the glass does not overflow because of one drop. It overflows because it has been full for too long. Secret depression can make ordinary disappointments feel like confirmation of a deeper fear. A delayed reply can feel like abandonment. A minor criticism can sound like proof that they are failing. A change in someone's tone can awaken the belief that they are no longer wanted. They may swing between longing for closeness and pulling away. They want reassurance, but feel ashamed for needing it. They want to be understood, but become frightened when someone looks too closely. What seems like overreaction may be accumulated pain finally finding an opening. The second sign is that a gray lens begins to cover the way they see life. This can be noticeable if the person was once naturally hopeful. They used to be the problem solver, the one who found a reason to continue after a difficult week. But now, their language changes. They say, "What is the point?" or "Nothing really changes." They dismiss good news before it has time to feel good. They assume relationships will fail, opportunities will disappear, and happiness is something temporary that life will soon take back. At first, these comments may sound philosophical, sarcastic, or realistic, but listen to the pattern beneath them. Depression can erode a person's ability to imagine a future that feels different from the present. It does not merely create sadness, it can create hopelessness, a quiet certainty that nothing will matter, nothing will improve, and no effort will be enough. This is how inner darkness can begin to resemble nihilism. The person may question the meaning of work, love, ambition, and even their own existence. Not because they have reached a profound intellectual conclusion, but because their exhausted mind can no longer feel the emotional evidence that life is worth participating in. They may still laugh and make plans, but underneath, their connection to possibility is weakening. The third sign is using work as a life raft. Some people collapse when they are depressed. Others become more productive. They wake early, stay late, answer emails at impossible hours, take on extra responsibilities, and refuse to rest. Everyone praises their discipline. Their employer calls them dependable. Their family says they have always been driven. But constant productivity is not always ambition. Sometimes it is avoidance. A packed schedule leaves no room for silence, and silence can be terrifying when painful thoughts become loudest. So they keep moving, they set higher standards, they chase another promotion, project, or achievement, hoping success will finally create the worth they cannot feel inside. Yet every accomplishment brings only brief relief. The emptiness returns, and they work even harder. Rest begins to feel dangerous. A free evening does not feel peaceful. It feels exposed. Without a task, they are left alone with the sadness, self-criticism, and numbness they have been outrunning. From the outside, this person may look like they are building an impressive life. Inside, they may be using that life to avoid themselves. The fourth sign is a sudden change in mood, especially unexplained irritation or anger. Many people imagine depression as quiet sadness. They picture someone crying, withdrawing, or speaking in a low voice. But depression does not always whisper. Sometimes it slams doors. Sometimes it raises its voice. Sometimes it appears as impatience with the people who are trying hardest to stay close. A person who is secretly depressed may become irritated by small inconveniences. The sound of someone chewing, a question asked at the wrong moment, traffic moving too slowly, or a household task left unfinished can trigger a reaction that seems completely out of proportion. They may snap at their partner, criticize their children, or become hostile during an ordinary conversation. Later, when the anger passes, they may be consumed by regret. They promise themselves they will respond differently next time, but the emotional pressure continues to build. This does not excuse cruelty or harmful behavior. Depression is never permission to mistreat other people. But understanding the source of the anger can help us recognize that something deeper may be happening. When a person loses the ability to feel pleasure, connection, or emotional relief, frustration can begin to replace sadness. They may look at the life they worked hard to create and feel almost nothing. Food tastes ordinary. Music no longer reaches them. Time with people they love feels strangely distant. That absence of joy can become frightening. They may think, "Why can't I appreciate this? What is wrong with me? Why does everyone else seem able to live normally?" The frustration turns inward first. Then, when it becomes too painful to contain, it spills outward. They are not always angry at the person standing in front of them. They may be angry at their own exhaustion, their sense of helplessness, or the life they believe they are failing to enjoy. Their nervous system is overloaded, and anger becomes the only emotion powerful enough to break through the numbness. The fifth sign is a growing reliance on alcohol or other substances to change how they feel. It may begin in a way that looks ordinary. A drink after work, something to help them sleep, a few extra glasses at a gathering because they finally feel relaxed enough to talk. They joke that they have earned it after a difficult week, and no one questions them because the behavior appears socially acceptable. But slowly, the purpose changes. They are no longer drinking to celebrate. They are drinking to escape the hour when their thoughts become unbearable. They are not using a substance because life feels good. They are using it because, for a little while, they want to feel less of their life. This is sometimes called self-medicating. It is an attempt to control psychological pain without having to name it, explain it, or ask another person for help. Alcohol may temporarily soften anxiety or numb sadness. Other substances may create energy, calm, confidence, or emotional distance. But the relief is borrowed, and it often has to be repaid with interest. The next morning may bring deeper fatigue, shame, irritability, and hopelessness. Those feelings create a stronger desire for relief, and the cycle begins again. Watch for changes in pattern rather than judging a single moment. Is the person drinking more often? Do they seem unable to relax without it? Are they hiding how much they use, becoming defensive when someone asks, or organizing their evenings around the next opportunity to become numb? The most important response is not humiliation. Shame rarely leads someone out of dependency. It usually pushes them further into secrecy. A person who is self-medicating may already believe they are weak, damaged, or beyond help. What they need is accountability combined with compassion, and support from qualified professionals who understand both mental health and substance use. The sixth sign is that their body remains present while their mind repeatedly disappears. You may notice it during a conversation. You are speaking, and they are looking directly at you, but something in their eyes feels distant. They ask you to repeat a sentence. They lose track of what they were saying halfway through a thought. They forget plans they agreed to, miss appointments, misplace everyday objects, or struggle to complete tasks that once felt simple. They may laugh and call themselves forgetful. They may blame age, stress, or lack of sleep. Sometimes those explanations are correct, but persistent difficulty concentrating can also accompany depression. The depressed mind is often working much harder than anyone can see. Part of its energy is being used to manage painful thoughts. Another part is suppressing emotions so the person can continue appearing normal. Another part may be trapped in repetitive questions. Why am I like this? What if I disappoint everyone? How much longer can I keep doing this? With so much mental energy devoted to surviving the internal experience, less remains available for memory, attention, decision-making, and conversation. This is why depression can create what people often describe as brain fog. It may take them an hour to complete something that once took 10 minutes. They reread the same paragraph without understanding it. They enter a room and forget why they came. At work, they stare at the screen while panic grows because their mind will not cooperate. This can damage their self-esteem even further. They may interpret cognitive exhaustion as laziness or incompetence. They push themselves harder, sleep less, and become more ashamed, which only deepens the fog. If someone you know seems mentally absent, do not immediately assume they have stopped caring. Their silence may not be disinterest. Their forgetfulness may not be disrespect. They may be using nearly all their strength to remain in the room at all. The seventh sign is that a cry for help appears for a moment and then disappears almost immediately. They may say something unexpectedly honest. I have not been doing very well lately. I feel tired all the time. Sometimes I wish I could just disappear for a while. For one brief moment, the wall opens. You see the pain behind the capable exterior, and you move closer. You ask what is wrong. You tell them they can talk to you. Then their expression changes. They smile, shake their head, and say, "It is nothing. I am just being dramatic." Or, "Do not worry about me. I can handle it." The door closes as quickly as it opened. This is one of the most painful contradictions of hidden depression. The person longs to be noticed, but feels guilty when someone notices. They want help, but the moment help becomes possible, fear tells them to retreat. They may carry what could be called a burden complex, a deeply rooted belief that their needs create problems for other people. Perhaps they learned early that love was given most freely when they were easy, useful, cheerful, or self-sufficient. Perhaps they once reached out and were dismissed, criticized, or told that others had it worse. Over time, they began to believe that asking for support was selfish. So even when they are drowning, they apologize for making the water visible. They may minimize their pain because they are afraid you will become tired of them. They may worry that honesty will change how you see them. If they are known as the strong one, admitting weakness can feel like destroying the identity that holds their relationships together. This is why responding well matters. Do not interrogate them. Do not demand that they explain everything immediately. And do not accept the retreat so completely that the moment is forgotten. You might say, "You do not have to talk right now, but I heard what you said. I care about you, and I am still here." Then follow up later. Not once, but again. People who secretly struggle often test whether care is temporary. They have seen concern appear during emotional moments and vanish when life becomes busy again. Consistency teaches them that they do not have to earn support by reaching a breaking point. The eighth sign is a smile that never seems to reach the eyes. This may be the most convincing disguise of all. They are the first to make a joke when the conversation becomes uncomfortable. They encourage everyone else. They post photographs where their life looks full, colorful, and connected. When someone asks how they are doing, the answer arrives instantly. Great. Busy, but good. Cannot complain. The response is polished because it has been practiced. But look at what happens when maintaining the performance becomes too exhausting. They cancel plans at the last minute. They claim they are sick, busy, or dealing with an unexpected problem. Sometimes those explanations are true. Other times, they simply do not have enough energy to create the version of themselves that everyone expects to see. Social interaction is no longer just interaction. It is a role. They must sound interested. They must laugh at the right moments. They must hide the emptiness behind their face. They must prevent the conversation from becoming personal enough that someone might discover the truth. When they return home, the mask falls. The person who appeared energetic at dinner may lie awake for hours in complete silence. The person who made everyone laugh may feel absolutely disconnected from their own life. The person who seemed surrounded by friends may believe that nobody truly knows them. This is part of what makes high-functioning depression so lonely. Functioning is often mistaken for wellness. Because they are still working, paying bills, raising children, answering messages, and meeting responsibilities, people assume they cannot be seriously struggling. Their competence becomes evidence against their pain. Even they may believe this. They compare themselves with someone who appears to be suffering more visibly and decide they have no right to ask for help. They tell themselves that because they can still get out of bed, they must be fine. Because they laughed yesterday, their sadness cannot be real. But depression is not measured by how convincing a person's smile appears. A human being can be grateful and depressed, loved and lonely, successful and emotionally exhausted. They can genuinely enjoy a moment and still return to a darkness they do not know how to explain. Recognizing these 8 signs is not an invitation to diagnose the people around you. It is an invitation to become more attentive. The danger of social stereotypes is that they teach us to search for only one version of suffering. We expect depression to look broken, withdrawn, and visibly hopeless. When pain arrives wearing confidence, humor, beauty, or success, we often fail to recognize it. If you see someone you love in these signs, reach out gently. Instead of asking, "Are you depressed?" you might say, "You have seemed different lately, and I wanted to check on you." Instead of offering immediate solutions, listen. Instead of saying, "You have so much to be grateful for," remind them that gratitude does not cancel pain. And instead of telling them to be strong, give them permission to stop performing strength in front of you. You can say, "I am here. You do not have to pretend with me." Sometimes that sentence becomes the first safe place a person has had in a very long time. If these signs feel familiar because they describe your own life, please understand this clearly. You are not weak, ungrateful, or attention-seeking. You may have become so skilled at surviving that nobody realized survival was all you were doing. You deserve more than endurance. Speaking with a licensed mental health professional, physician, counselor, or trusted support service can help you understand what you are experiencing and what kind of care may help. If you feel that you might harm yourself or you are in immediate danger, contact emergency services or a crisis support line where you live now. In the United States, you can call or text 988 for immediate crisis support. Healing does not always begin with a dramatic breakthrough. Sometimes it begins with one honest sentence spoken to one safe person. "I am not okay." And sometimes love begins with the answer. You do not have to face this alone. If this message brought someone to mind, consider reaching out to them today. And if it brought you to mind, you are welcome to share only what feels safe in the comments. Your story may help another person realize that their hidden pain is real, understandable, and worthy of support.